All right, here we go. We're ready. Let's go. This is the take. Okay. Hey everyone, it's Kim from Powit's Kim, and I'm here today to talk about the Sigma 85mm art lens. Really dope lens. Had the opportunity last weekend to work with it, and I just wanted to share some of my tips and takeaways from using the lens. So I'll go over 5 things today. The focus, the low light performance, the aperture, the bokeh, the weight. So those are 5 kind of key things I think to make note of when using this lens. Some of them are really great and some of them have, slight setbacks, but overall this lens it's incredible. So the first thing is the aperture. Now, if I'm given the opportunity to go lower in aperture, I probably always will. So I am a big stickler for natural lighting. I don't use a lot of artificial lighting. So it's very, very important for me that my lens is able to open up to its widest capacity. So aperture is key for me. I don't really want to go above 2.8. And ideally, honestly, I work mostly with prime lenses anyways. So 1.4, 1.8, that's kind of where I tend to stay. This lens is a 1.8. Really awesome. I mean, really, really great in low light. The performance was excellent. I didn't really have much of an issue struggling to find light. Of course, in your super, super dark situations, there's nothing you can do about that. But for the most part, I was able to work with that lens pretty well in a variety of lighting situations. The other is the bokeh. This thing gives you some juicy bokeh. It's very, very good. I love that, the focus, and again with the aperture, right? The higher the aperture, the more of that blurry background, but then also it just plays with the bokeh and the light in such a beautiful way. And so, I love this. I love this lens, and I honestly, I'm really considering, more likely than not, trying to invest in it by the end of the year. It is a pretty price. It comes in at around $1,100. So this is a pretty penny, but this lens is amazing. Now Sigma, it's a Sigma lens, not a Sony lens, but people have been advocating hey, Sony, why aren't you guys doing an official partnership with Sigma? I have a Sigma 16mm lens on this camera right now, and before this Sigma lens, I always went Canon to Canon, Nikon to Nikon, Sony to Sony. I never really went third party where it regarded lenses, but this Sigma lens is dope. I haven't had any focusing issues with the 16mm. When it comes onto the Sigma, the 85 art lens that I rented, regarding focus, I will say there were about 2 or 3 moments where I was having some trouble pulling focus. But that more than likely had to do with just how crowded it was. I was at an open concert event. It was a festival. So there was kind of a lot going on, but overall, I really didn't have that much issue with focusing. But again, that's camera to lens communication, so it's not just the lens's fault if you trip up with the focusing or anything like that. Overall, I will still give it about a B, an 80% in terms of focus. I only had 2 or 3 moments where I can really say, the focus just wasn't happening. Now the last thing, which is something you notice immediately when you rent the lens. This thing is heavy, okay? Heavy, okay? It is very, very heavy. I mean, I don't know how much it weighs. Now, the weight thing can kind of be a deterrence for some people, but honestly, if you have a gimbal that can manage that kind of weight, I really don't see it being a massive problem. Also, when I'm shooting at handheld, which is primarily how I shoot, I don't shoot with a stabilizer as of right now. A lot of my shots are just handheld. My whole body becomes the stabilizer, so. But that's both financial, but also because I'm still kind of searching for what gimbal fits what I need, so that I don't have to keep purchasing gimbals, because I don't want to have to spend a gajillion dollars on stabilizers. Anyways, back to the point at hand. The weight of this thing, it'll stabilize you. Like you're holding that Sigma art lens, it's gonna hold forward. So it does kind of help with the balance. So I see that as kind of like a pro and a con. You know, it has its ups, it has its downs, has its, you know, setbacks. But I do still think, like, irregardless, all of these elements still make this a very, very amazing lens, and something that I do see myself investing in this in the future. Now, the biggest thing to consider is what are the settings that you're going to be shooting in, and how can this lens be of use to you. So for me, when I shoot primarily wide, that's just kind of like more of an aesthetic thing. I really do like wide shots, but then also there are moments where I can't get as close to my subject as I'd like. And that was perfect, you know, for this weekend shooting a festival where there are people on stage or people in the crowd that you want to be able to capture, and you can't be right in front of them. So a lot of my more editorial shoots, I have the ease of being very close to my subject, and that's how I kind of like to shoot. But in scenarios like this, I'm so happy that I rented that lens. I would have missed like so many shots had I not had that lens. And I kind of rented it on a whim. I saw a review a few weeks back, and you know, really loved the way that he spoke about the lens. And so I was going in originally gonna rent the Zeiss Batis 85 Sony lens, but then that wasn't available, and it was just the Sigma art lens that was available. So I went for it, and I'm really, really glad I did. I've worked with the Sony 85mm in the past. It's a good lens. I would say, like, I worked with it with an A7S II, and I know A7S II has focusing issues, like, because it has a different kind of configuration than the Sony A6500 that I primarily shoot on. But I don't want to judge the focusing based on that. I will also rent the Sony 85, you know, Zeiss Batis, and work with it on this camera and see how I feel about it. But I will say, like, the Sigma 85 art lens, if you have the opportunity to rent it, to play with it, go for it. And just, you know, kind of get to see what it can do. Really awesome lens. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, drop them below. Subscribe, like, comment, all that. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.